Okay, so Heidegger's asking the origin of the essence of art, and he says, what's art? Well, art is shown in artworks. So in order to get at what art is, we have to figure out what an artwork is. But in order to figure out what an artwork is, we have to know what art is. And so there's a kind of circle. How are we going to jump in here, right? Well, he says, all right, what's an artwork? Well, an artwork, at least we could say it's a thing. Oh, well, what's a thing? This is an interesting question. Heidegger wrote a huge book in the 30s, I think. Yeah, 30s on this. I think it was the 30s. Doesn't matter. Called Die Frage nach dem Ding. It's kind of a funny title. Die Frage nach dem Ding. The question concerning the thing. He's very interested in what's the thingly character of a thing. What makes a thing a thing? And so what he takes us through in the first part of this essay, the first part, is all the different philosophical conceptions in the history of philosophy of what a thing is, right? And so there are three of them he looks at. He looks at the substance-accident conception of a thing, which is in Aristotle's categories. He looks at the, we could call the Kantian or the Jamesian maybe bundle of sensations theory. Then he looks at the one that you're probably most familiar with, which is also Plato and Aristotle, the hylomorphic or matter-form conception. So substance-accident, bundle of sensations, matter-form or hylomorphic theory. First one he looks at, he says, okay, substance-accident. There's something, so when I look at this book, I can say, well, what's the essence of a book? What's the substance of a book? Well, a book, this is a primary substance book, and it has accidental qualities like its place and its temporal location, its place in space, the color of it. These are accidental qualities, but there's an actual essence of the book or a substance of bookness, right? By the way, that notion of substance plays into transubstantiation in the Catholic understanding of the Eucharist, where the substance of bread is changed from breadness, or whatever the hell that is. We don't even think in Aristotelian physics anymore, in physics categories. The substance of the bread is changed into the body of Christ, but the accidents of the bread remain, so the color and the composition and things like this. Or not the composition, but the taste and all these other things, accidental qualities. So that's what transubstantiation means. But Heidegger says, there's something about this conception of looking at an object, a thing, as a substance with accidents that's too far away, too distant. What he has in mind here is an idea that he brought up first in Being and Time in a famous section in the first part called the tool analysis. And we've talked a little bit about this already in class, that what is my primary relationship to objects? When I engage a book or a pencil or whatever, am I looking at it as an object present at hand, Vorhandenheit? Do I look at it as, is this my primary relationship to an object, namely a speculative, abstract, theoretical relation? No, I have a pre-theoretical, pre-thematic, pre-predicative relationship with a book, where I'm not thinking about the essence of a book, I'm reading it, I'm taking it up as an existential possibility. So Heidegger's first critique of the substance-accident conception of a thing is that it's too far removed, it's too distant. And insofar as it's too distant, we actually assault the thing. Remember, he's very much interested in how theoretical reason, rationality assaults things, that is, distorts them from our primary relationship. And so if we're asking about what artwork is, and artwork is a thing, that's not our primary relationship to a thing. A thing is not an object to a subject. It's too far away. So he moves to the second conception. Maybe this is just a bundle of sensations that our mind pulls together. Like in Kant, the mind schematizes the raw data that's coming in from it and forms it together, brings it all together in some coherent thought or concept. Heidegger says, that's too close. What's the primary? So the first one, it was too far away, substance accident. The second, the bundle theory, too close. It's too close to things. When I hear a sound outside, when I hear a car go by, I don't hear beep, beep. I hear a horn. I don't hear a sound. I hear a horn. In other words, it's too close. Our primary experience of the world isn't of sensations. Though that sensations, thinking of things in terms of that sensations, that's an abstraction. My primary experience of things is of things. I hear the Mercedes go by. I hear the car beep. I hear the bird chirp. I don't just hear doot, 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 doot. I hear a bird whistle, or I hear a whistle, or I hear my neighbor going up the steps. I hear specific things. I hear meaningful things. This is back to the idea that for Heidegger, we don't encounter things or sensations, we encounter meaning. So keep this in mind when he's criticizing these conception of things. He's not saying they're wrong. He's saying they're limited, and they actually don't give us the primary, or what he would call the primary or fundamental relationship we have with things, namely things qua meaningful, or things insofar as they are meaningful, okay? So then he moves to this third conception, and he's very, the first time I read this, I thought, this is interesting. He kind of dismisses this too quickly, and then about 10 years later after reading it, I realized, he has a point. But again, he's not dismissing this. The hylomorphic conception, the third conception. First conception, substance accident. Second conception, bundle theory, too far, too close. Third conception, hylomorphic. Maybe this is, what's the essence of a thing? Well, the thing is, this object is composed of form and matter, right? The form is the essence of bookness that arranges the matter in this certain way. And, this is made of paper. So there I have it. That's what a thing is. And it's like, what's his problem with this? Well, we've already talked about this in the other videos. What do we really mean by the form of something? Well, and for Aristotle, the to, tien, and I, or the what it was to be, is the form of something, the essence of something. That is, what is it for? The form for Aristotle, the morphe of the hule, the form of the matter, is actually, it's telos as well. That is, what it's for. Even for the human being, the form of the human being. In the Nicomachean Ethics, we have a soul, but then when we ask what's the nature of our soul, we ask what its function is, what its work is, what does it perform? Again, a technological conception permeates the hylomorphic conception of a thing. So he says, well, yeah, isn't it interesting? Whenever I ask about the hylomorphic, the morphe is always wrapped up in techne. So things are really, in the hylomorphic conception, nothing more than equipment. They're tools. Is that and he's not denying this. When I first encounter the world, I encounter the world of tools, meaningful tools that I'm not thinking about. But the question is, he's critiquing himself here from being in time. So he says, all right, I don't primarily experience the world in terms of objects to subjects that I reflect on. I don't experience the world in just terms of sounds and sensations that I later interpret. No. I experience the world of meaningful objects, or meaningful things, I should say, that I'm not even consciously aware of themselves as things, or of the things as things. I'm aware of them as equipment that I use and I subsume and consume into my existential projects. However, are things only pieces of equipment? Is there a way of thinking of things beyond tools? Because the hylomorphic conception of things is so bound up with the technological comportment of Dasein. Remember, because Geppetto is making the shoe, right? What does he do? He looks to the form and instantiates it in the matter. And what is the form? The form is the nature of what it's for, what its use is. Okay. So, and he says, what you end up doing then is, what the hylomorphic conception does, it degrades matter. What's matter at the end of the day? Well, you can denude equipment. That is, we can just strip it of its equipmental context or equipmental meaning, and then we just have sort of, I don't know, something that we don't know what the hell it is. It's just matter. For Aristotle, it was pure matter. Matter was just possibility. What the hell is that? He actually thinks there's something interesting here. The hylomorphic conception is top-heavy. The form is given too much emphasis, and he's actually going to try to invert this and rethink this. Okay, so he says, we can't seem to get the proper distance from things. Okay, when we engage the world of tools, right? Things are, in a way, they're too subsumed into equipment. When I look at the bundle sensation theory, it's too close. When I look at substance accident, it's too reflective, too far. How do I get the proper distance so that I can philosophize about the nature of a thing? Aha. So now he turns to an artwork. And he says, an artwork, let's take a picture of Van Gogh's shoes. Van Gogh paints a pair of peasant shoes, he says. It's actually interesting. They're not peasant shoes, and it doesn't matter for Heidegger's point. You might have heard this objection before. Heidegger got the idea that the peasant shoes were wrong. Uh-oh, looks like the video froze. Picking up there.